Thank you very much. Now Father Arok and Father Niphot will put some input, and after that we open to the floor. Okay, who's going first? Yeah, Father Niphot.
Yes. I also learned this picture from internet, this perspective. I was asked by the professor when we have the course in internet in Paris, why you as a priest would like to work with the poor? Why? You are up there, why you would like to come? 6 months the questions of myself. That means that the problem of the people is not your problem. Why you come to the boat? One thing. So it means that if you are not related, the structural, I'm the priest, you have a problem of the church also. If you are not related, then you have to question yourself why you are working with the people. Are you a saint? You are good? Or you are also have a problem, a priest, a structure of the church. So learn from the people and try to struggle to change. That's really difficult. It is difficult like those who are rowing the boat. But on the shore, the church is more difficult than that because you have thick sociology, history of the church, and so many things. So you have to really, what you call revolution within the church. Then you will kick out like him. That's the second thing. Then that is very important. So we have to enter into learning with the people. Then from the people we have to come to see what is our structure. Everyone cannot avoid any structure, and that the structure is, but there will be what we call the torsion point. Okay, I would like to give this one very important for you. If we would like to go to be with the people perspective, that is very important for exposure, immersion. So you learn from the people. Then you have to come to where you are. You are not the oppressed. We are another thing. We have to come back. And we are also have to struggle with the people because the problem of the people, we are the one, as you say, the church are the one who are structural. And the cause of the people problem also. So that is mine. So I have to struggle in the church. But the church seems very difficult. But I tell you, very secret. Now this is my secret. Since 1975, now it's about 36 years already. Yeah? One of my professors, after I finish, because I read Paulo Freire.
Paulo Freire.
Yeah. I was formed from Paulo Freire.
Pedagogy of the oppressed.
Yeah, pedagogy of the oppressed. Yeah. I was his
famous
student. I am his student in order to change the structural sin, as he said. But to be in the church, you must make a group of yourself. If you are alone, be careful, you cannot survive within the church. You have to find, very important, you have to find this place, very corner here. We call the torsion point. Torsion point. Torsion point means where the church, every structure have a very soft place where they cannot control. You understand me? That area area you have to. That's why I build my alliance with the team. So I make the team. So this portion is a team. So what I do? They will not refuse for biblical study. Huh? Biblical study is very important in the parish. So you start with biblical group. But you have another way of hermeneutic expression of the Bible. Not from that, but you start from your experience. You have to start from your experience, not from the priest or from the bishop or from anywhere. You start from your experience, how your experience is. Then you say it. So this we call the torsion point. So your team is going to extend more and more and more. Now, 36 years, the diocese cannot destroy the group. Never. Because the team expressed there is organic intellectual, 200 people up in the villages since 1980 until now. It is 300 person, young like this, huh? Like you, coming in our center. Then we train them for 2 years. Out, go out. And these people are struggle in the village, and they are the one to help the people to explain Jesus Christ in their struggle. It's very important. So you have to understand the torsion point. No? You have to understand this torsion point. Don't worry. God, the Holy Spirit is working here. In the very, what we call the periphery area of the church. No, it is very big because they are not going there. So now, this area is very important. Then you have to, if you are the student, you are somehow middle class. Here is the people who are oppressed. So you have to go to be with the people. Because the root cause of the problem is the rock, as you say, is the structural sin. Is here, which caused the wave. The structure is underneath. So we have to really analyze the cause of the wave or many things. So you related with the people, learn from the people and start. Then slowly, if possible, go up here. Hey Bishop, come down for exposure immersion. That's he do it. He is the one who bring the bishop come down up the mountains. He is the one, I brought him there. And very cold. They remember until now. They remember. You have to bring them. Don't chase them away. They have a lot of resources. The Catholic Church has so much of resources to help the people. 80% of the people of the world eat only. I give you this statistic. This is from the other world is possible. From another
World Social Forum.
World Social Forum. It said that the people of 20% up there eat 87.5%. And then another 20% eat 11.5%. And here is 60% eat how many? 98, 99%. So the 60% eat only 1%. Wow. Really, this is the world sharing food and everything, no? So here, the people have really very little chair. So the church must really come down to change the structure of injustices. Theology, sociology, many things have to change. So we have to bring the church, the bishop down. Yeah. Possible, many bishops come down, as he said. Then slowly bring some bishops who are behind here. Come up here. At least you see, oh, bishop, you are lowering something. So this is a very important of the church. I am trying to do, what I do. 22 years ago, we have changed the bishop in our diocese. And the bishop from Bangkok is up there, or some of them is here. But we are here. We have to walk the mountains. Walk whole days, 1 week we walk. But they never know. After that, he said, Bishop, come and walk with us. We said, we have to bring the bishop to eat. Don't bring the bishop in the open the church, no? Because there you have chicken, you have food, everything there. But bring them when the people are starving, especially in August, September, because people have no rice. So there the people eat chilies. The bishop eats chili. So there they know that the people are really starving. How the bishop? So after that, I think this is for the church, no? I think it is possible to understand this portion point. Understand theology from the other side. So I will stop here. One experience, Father Honda, he teach gospel, the New Testament in Sophia University in
Japan.
Yeah. And we present the work, the experience together. I share my experience like this. We come and say, we are very close together. And when he presented his paper, he said, I was teaching the New Testament 20 years, but I am in the campus, in the university. Everything is there. But after that, when I go to stay in the slum and I teach the New Testament, I see Jesus another person. That is the perspective change. He changed from the area of university and then he goes to stay in the slum. And then after that, experience of the slum help him to see Jesus, another type of Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth and Jesus the Son of God is different. So this is what we call that the experience of even reading the gospel or looking at Jesus Christ. We have to change our perspective from the people. To conclude, the social teaching of the church is really from that context of Europe. I really admire the bishop and those who are organized the FABC or OHD because they come from the bottom-up way of approach. It's different, huh? So the social teaching of the church is coming from the top down from Europe. But the approaches of the FABC is really down to earth, living and reflect and faith, contemplate from that reality and ask God, how can I respond to you in this context? I remember in Pattaya, after Bishop came down, this is Visa 7, no? They come here and then they start talking they cannot talk. They don't know how to share. Then Father, the one who died, no, really famous, Angelo Ashram.
Bishop Angelo.
Her father
From where?
from India. He is one. Then he said, Bishop, don't talk. You go to the church. And then you sit down and you talk with Jesus about the people you met, about the story in the village, and talk with Jesus. And you listen to Jesus, how Jesus is telling you. And then after half an hour, Amalo, yes, Amalo Pavadas, and then the bishop comes. Now, everyone try to share. It is coming from the digestion, from the contemplative. Amalo, use this way of bringing experience and digest by faith experience, and they share. So, the Visa 7 come out so beautiful because it's coming from the heart of all these bishops. So I think what you said, the perspective of the people, so important involved in the understanding the gospel and social teaching of the church. Now this is my experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Aro.
Say one important thing. I appreciate my husband and father. These are people who have been in the field very long.
Yeah.
And though I come from a village where people have struggled, I do not have that much benefit of that experience they have. But I always not sympathize, empathize. I really learn from them, from the people. That way it has helped me grow. Whenever an opportunity, I go to a place where people will struggle. Whenever there is an opportunity given to them. But they have a lot of experience, prolonged experience. Now, I want to start with one point, which is social teaching from below. That is from people's perspective. That's what we are reflecting on. And I want to, by way of introduction, I start with a story. Story means that something, what happened. That is, we spoke of discovery of that fellow, went to South America. The fellow, 500 years. Columbus. Now, I read something beautiful from a liberation theology point of view. I heard also from a liberation theologian from Mexico. And Bartolomé de las Casas is a Dominican missionary, originally Spanish, missionary in place contemporary what we call Colombia, those days. And every day, of course, we celebrated Mass for all these colonizers and so forth. But the colonizers always taken away all the land from the local Amerindians. The original people called indigenous called Amerindians. But converted all of them. They were all Christians now. But they lost everything except that they have the faith, so-called faith. Then one day he was reading in the Mass. There was a particular reading from the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, Ben Sirach, that's the name of the book. In chapter 34, verse 18-21, the offerings of the ungodly is unacceptable to God. That is the subtitle. Then is a very strong passage which says that God will not accept. Then there is a language like this. Anyone who has deprived the poor of the bread is a murderer. One who deprives the wages of the poor, which is the lifeblood, is sheds blood. The language only assassinate, murder. It is a strong passage. Because anyone deprives the people of their life, of the poor, right, is a murderer, is a fellow who sheds blood. That day the reading came. That was the reading. It's a short passage. First time by the Holy Spirit, it came like a sword, flashing sword, and cut his heart, his conscience. My God, this is what I am part of. We have taken away all the land for the people, converted them, poured the water of baptism on them, but we destroyed all their humanity, culture, everything. And therefore, these are the people who come and offer me, I celebrate Mass for them. Is it acceptable to God? Then onwards, he began writing against whole colonization policy, wrote to the kings of Spain and Portugal. What the colonists have done is a sin. Unless they return all they have taken from them, their salvation is in danger. He wrote like that. In that context, the other day you mentioned that passage that Gutierrez has nicely summarized about Christian message, Christian approach. It is like this. I have put it this way. Dallas Casas wrote something to this effect. Better a live Indian, even though not a Christian, than a dead Indian, even though a Christian. Very important statement. I repeat that. Better a live Indian, an unbaptized Indian, even though not Christian, that is not baptized, than a dead Indian, because you destroyed everything of his humanity, it's dead. Even though he's a Christian, because you have put the waters of baptism over him. That gives the real ethical message of the Bible, social teaching. Okay, with that story I come to now 1 or 2 points which I want. What I shared with you is only complementing what the rich sharing they have done already. Only complementing, adding one more note, one more footnote. See, I read in the 1985 was instruction from the Vatican on liberation theology, negative. 84 or 85? The instruction. 85 came. Strangely, that book was very somewhat negative about liberation theology. But strangely, in that document, there was one section, people do not accept, but I attach importance. First, it is the voice of the magisterium. Then, second part, other voices of the church, other voices of the magisterium. There is a subsection in which they include what the local bishops' conference have said, what Christian committed people are doing. Some attention to the teaching from this side. But they use the word other voices of the magisterium. Which means what he expressed, that is the magisterium, that's also magisterium. That's all teaching of the church. And I want to stress that. And therefore, we speak of today CST of the local church. Father's book summarizes that, your book. When did you publish this book, by the way?
Easter this year.
Huh?
This year.
2011. I must get a copy of the book. We'll get 2 copies, one for the library, one for me. Okay. No, I will pay for it, no problem. I pay the money even now itself.
I'm looking for a big donation from the Jesuits.
I will give the money here itself in Seoul. Okay. So magisterium below. So what I want to say, the committed Christian groups and communities, like his group, his team, they are really trying to live, and they are bringing a wisdom from their experiences and insight into the faith concerning people's life for dignity, fullness of life, and community solidarity. That also should be an important content of the social teaching of the church. This is called CST of the local church. One student did a doctorate on CST of the FABC under me. I guided him. And in which he brought also CST of the people, all those things. Very good. Now, then I say another important point. I am giving some kind of footnotes. Second footnote is this. Whenever we speak of social teaching of the church, the official social teaching, but all this is encyclical and so on, we forget, for us Christian believers, all of us, all Christian believers, the first source of social teaching, apart from people's struggle, that is there always, we recognize that. The first social teaching comes from the gospel. The gospel is the first source, as believers, social teaching. When Christ, the mystery of Christ, the good news he preached, all the social meaning of the gospel. You must always start from the gospel, the social meaning, and Christ's praxis, his own praxis. That is the first thing. And given the CST does mention that in the introduction, we always derive. But we straight away go to give you a course on social teaching minus these 2 sources. The gospel first, and also the people who struggle, who have discovered the wisdom of the people. Without that, going straight away is not a right approach. Not really, we will miss the boat somewhere. So I want to stress that always before starting with the traditional social teaching of the church, start with the gospel, the social meaning of the gospel, the practice of Jesus, all those things. Only after that you go. Which means, with all these things, because this experience and the gospel, now when you go to the official social teaching, you will not just read and talk about it, what they say, summarize, this is what the Pope is teaching. You will start rereading the social teaching. You discover a new meaning what they are saying, which is now the Pope even may not have explicitly mentioned that. So rereading means to discover the message which is contained in the origin, the present message. Message within the message. And people like Aloysius Peris will call it magisterium within the magisterium. Magisterium within the magisterium, which is, this is the magisterium you don't want to discover. That's one important thing. And and therefore in this connection, we may even be open to the wisdom that comes from people of other religions. Because we relate to them in dialogue, relationship. They have to have certain social wisdom. There's all this. I come from Tamil Nadu in South India, in India. We have a famous poet who is no more, Bharadiyar, no? Bharadiyar, national independence poet. We got independence in 1947. This fellow died in 1924, he died. And he is a Brahmin, unorthodox. Brahmins, Ayers do not wear moustache and so on. He was a protest goer, moustache. And he used to live in Pondicherry under the French colony. Because here the British were wanted to arrest him. He will also escape to the French colony to Pondicherry. Now he said, a beautiful one of these things about liberation. It's on liberation. It talks about liberation of women. He has all the beautiful things to say about liberation of women. And then he says, coming to social liberation, if there is one human person goes hungry, no food, deprived of food, if one single person goes hungry, let us destroy this whole universe. That means the whole social order of the world is an unjust social order. We must dismantle it, which means we must re-establish social order where no one will be deprived of the basic need, basic rights. That is a beautiful thing. He has put it in Tamil beautifully, very powerful. Everybody quotes that. Politicians also quote that, but they do not live that. Hindus, whoever, all social work, everybody knows that. It belongs to. I want to mention that is the kind of thing trying. We must also benefit by the prophetic voices from other religions also. There are great prophetic voices. Against caste system, there are great prophetic voices in Hinduism, in Andhra, there's so great people. Then you are all talk about pedagogy of the oppressed that you mentioned. Paulo Freire from Brazil, he wrote a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. One of the best books of the century, last century. Great classics, I would say, for the social commitment. And he is the one who promoted the idea of conscientization process, all those things. And he spoke of two kinds of education. The education that we get is simply bank education. Bank with deposit of knowledge, you've got to receive. But he proposed another example, problematic. From people's problem struggle, you begin to... Hereafter you will not teach mathematics like simple addition. 2 loaves of bread plus 2 loaves of bread make 4. No, that's not for a poor man. Often he experiences, because of deprivation, 2 plus 2, 4, he gets only 3 loaves. One, or he will get only 2 loaves. The other 2 are stolen or looted. That is the way he was conscientizing people. And therefore they should have a critical analysis of their situation. And therefore we speak of raising awareness, raising critical consciousness. Pedagogy of the oppressed. Of course there are many other. Then structural sin is another topic that comes again and again. I wanted to give a short explanation, but that I would want to conclude. And that is, structural sin with an example, only it will become clear. See, we spoke of personal sin. I committed a sin, deliberately in my freedom, selfishness, I deprived of the just wages due to you, which I had agreed. If you have done this 8 hours of work, I am supposed to pay 200 rupees, $20, say $25, supposed to give. Instead I give you only $10 and deprive you of them. That is clear injustice. That is called personal sin. I am responsible, and if I repent, I have to return the full amount and even pay for the consequence of deprivation for some time, including the interest also. That is a normal thing. But what social sin, structural sin is, we have created a system where this kind of wrong practices are accepted normal. It is normal to pay a fellow only 15 rupees, $15 instead of $25. Only $25 he can feed his child or wife and so on. Nowadays it can be $50, $70 and so on. Because in Europe per day we have to pay $70 per day can be in our houses. But in India, and just now in India funny thing is going on. India is about to become, they are stupid. India is going to become economic power. The member of the planning commission is fully aware of it. They wanted to define what is the amount of wage money earning which will decide we are below the poverty line. That means you need a subsistence assistance from the government. You are really poor, very poor. You cannot survive without assistance from the government. For that, they want to decide the wage earn. If you are a rural person, if you earn 26 rupees, you belong to the poverty line. 26 rupees per day. Absolutely. Then if you are in the city, it should be 32 rupees. 32 rupees. People, there's hue and cry in all the people, activists, various voices. What stupidity. Today, the minimum wage should be 120 rupees, something like that. No? Today, what a person means, if you are a person means, behind you is your wife, she is not working, you have children. How can you decide the minimum wage for poverty line? 26 rupees. It should be
50 cents.
50
cents.
50 cents. If you earn 50 cents, you are the below the poverty line. You must say, at least you must say 80 rupees per day or 70 rupees per day, that should decide the poverty line. That's one thing. The other thing is structural sin. Therefore, structural sin, there is a system which doing this kind of things is accepted as normal, taken for granted. Taken for granted. I give the example of gender hierarchy as a culture. In a gender that is male chauvinistic society, where gender hierarchy is accepted, where the male is above, the female is below, or in caste system, the high caste, the Brahmins are above, the other Dalits are below. We take for granted, on account of which this is the way we treat. The man treats the woman only in this way. That is part of the society, hierarchical society. And people do not think the way of treating is inhuman, against justice, against the dignity of people. They don't realize at all. No, this is our culture. This is what we take in. That way of looking at things, which makes personal sin easy and perpetuates that kind of structure, culture, or a system of government, a system of trade, or a system of even religious belief, that is called sinful structure. Of course, who is the author of gender hierarchy? You cannot find out. Personal sin, you can say, you are the perpetrator of that particular injustice against him. But for structural sin, who is the author? Maybe at the beginning, some people became a custom, became part of selfishness. It's actually the consequences of individual personal sins get stabilized in society, way of culture, and naturally it comes to be accepted, and therefore people take for granted this is the way we do things. And that's how personal sins come to existence. Only people, prophets, who come and remind you, this is an evil, which makes you people deprive people like this, or to treat women this way, the Dalit this way. That is an evil. It violates basic dignity, and therefore the hierarchical way of looking at society is a sinful structure. A culture which hierarchizes people into high and low, whether male and female, or Brahmins and Dalits, that kind of sociology, that kind of ideology, that kind of philosophy we want, that is a sinful structure. And we have to dismantle it. Same thing in South Africa, no? The white racism, the white and the blacks, that the apartheid, how it has to be dismantled, like people like Nelson Mandela went to prison. So it is this we have to. Now, it is true, I am not personally responsible. Because of pedagogy, the oppressed conscientization, I have come to know I am a high caste man. My God, I took for granted this is normal. This is the way I treat a Dalit, a small boy of Brahmin high caste. You look at the eldest man in the Dalit, the small boy will call him, you little fellow. You use all the Tamil words, disrespectful words. Disrespectful words. Vada poda. That means you little thing and so on. And the boy doesn't know. That is the way he has learned from elders. And that is a sinful structure. Untouchability is a sinful structure. It must be dismantled through conscientization. And therefore, when I am conscientized, my God, so far I didn't know I was part of this culture. Now I know. This is against human dignity. This is sinful. I will no more be part of this way of behavior and so on. But I am not going to change the caste system one stroke. But there are movements. I was talking to you, this one thing. Therefore, we have counter-cultural movements, like women's movements, tribal movements. I have become part of that movement because the sinful structures are so deeply entrenched in culture, the mindsets of people, collective mindsets of people. They cannot be removed by only by individual. But we have become a part of a counter-cultural movement, which will educate people out of it, and it's a long-term project, and we should be committed to it. That's all part of social justice, social teaching of the church. That is the way. That's sufficient explanation. I will stop here. Okay, stop here.